Greg Peterson here, and I want to thank you for listening to the Urban Farm Podcast. We wouldn't be able to keep doing these great shows without you. So as a token of my appreciation, I'd like to offer you access to a list of our top 10 episodes I personally find most inspiring. If you enjoy the Urban Farm Podcast but don't have time to listen to every one, then you will love this list. Although all our guests have great information to offer, if you are short on time, these 10 are must-listens. To get access to the top 10 most inspiring podcast episodes, text FARMER to 44222. That's FARMER to 44222. And enjoy listening.
You're listening to the Urban Farm Podcast, your partner in the Grow Your Own Food revolution. Whether you've just been introduced to urban farming or you're a lifelong advocate, we're sure you'll leave feeling more informed, equipped, and empowered to dig deeper into the soil of your local food economy. With you every step of the way, here's your host, Greg Peterson.
Today on the Urban Farm Podcast, we have Kaye Kittrell to talk about her experience with urban gardening and how it's changed her life. In the fall of 2011, Kaye converted the front yard and parkway of her home in Pacific Palisades, California, into an edible garden. She removed all non-edible grass, small trees, and bushes that occupied the approximately 300 square feet of valuable sunny area and planted citrus trees and herbs. In April 2012, Kaye began her urban garden blog, Late Bloomer Show, sharing her results with the other gardeners, food bloggers, and family farmers. With her photography skills and on-camera likability from 30 years of working as an actor in New York and Hollywood, Kaye created a web show also entitled Late Bloomer, chronicling her discovering of how to grow food. A year later, her summer garden produced over 150 pounds of produce, about 40% of which was given away. She also wrote her first ebook, 10 Steps to a Great First Garden, which, by the way, she has free on her website. And in 2015, Kaye created her DVD, Growing Heirloom Tomatoes, a compilation of her 5-part series on YouTube. Late Bloomer now has 96 episodes on YouTube, and in 2015 won Best Edutainment Series at the Miami Web Fest 2015. In 2016, Kaye added a vlog onto the channel, which included 50 videos and offers Kaye an opportunity to visit and share other gardens and urban farms with her audience. Kaye's goal is to inspire anyone to grow their own food and take charge of their own food security. Welcome to the show today, Kaye.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You bet. So I shared a bit about you. Can you fill in the blanks for us and share more about the path you took to get where you're at now?
Well, it was interesting. I had an epiphany in 2012. I think it was about February, after I had been digging in my parkway, which is the area between the street and the sidewalk in Los Angeles. And I thought, I want to use all of my talents to inspire other people to grow their own food. And I had just gotten started myself. I had an encounter with a biodynamic farmer, and he put the spell on me. He said, from now on, you're only growing edibles. And
nice.
I totally took that to heart. And we had a tree in the parkway, a city tree that had died. And when that came out, I took out all the ground cover, and once I met him, he said, take out your bushes and your grass and plant a food garden. And I did. It took a little time because I had to learn how to garden. I wasn't a gardener. I had never grown anything, not even house plants. And in fact, I had to look up the difference between annual and perennial on the internet, just so I would know what does that really mean.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's how green I was. So I would be out digging in my hard clay soil, if you can call it that. It's more like brick. And I would be on my knees and people would pass by and say, what are you doing? And I said, I'm a late bloomer. And I just said that a few times, and then it really hit me that that's going to be the name of my show. And I'm going to have a show, and I'm going to try to inspire as many people as I can to grow their own food.
Nice. And it says here, a year later, your summer garden produced over 150 pounds of produce.
Right.
Wow.
I think I hit 300 pounds by 2014. I had a banner year in tomatoes. It was incredible.
Wow. How cool.
I think I had 17 plants, and it was just hundreds of pounds of tomatoes.
Oh, yeah. Tomatoes are absolutely amazing when they start producing.
I know. But we have such a problem here with powdery mildew that you never know what you're going to get. Right. You know, I got lucky that year.
Yeah. So, let's, while we're on tomatoes, your first DVD, Growing Heirloom Tomatoes. Tell us about that.
Well, I decided to create a marketing tool for my show, and I had such a positive response to that 5-part series that I did on YouTube. I decided to just put the episodes together in an easy format for a DVD. So if people wanted to get the DVD for, watching on their TV or give it as a gift, there are a lot of people who aren't on the internet. A lot of older folks are not on the internet.
Right.
But they do watch DVDs, so that's why I created it.
Yeah. Fantastic. So you mentioned your show. This is the Late Bloomer Show. Tell us about it.
Well, Late Bloomer follows my development as a food grower. And along the way, I have occasionally interviewed other people, and I focus on bugs and insects and pests, and because I have a fascination for all that stuff. And I'm also a photographer. So when I started, I thought, well, let me get up close and personal to bugs and pests and really put those big images on my show. And I just started, and I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't have a 5-year plan. I just thought, I'm going to do this, and next year I'll be on TV. and in 2012, there were hardly any web series on the web. I had to look at a completely non-gardening kind of show just to get the format, the titles, the opening, closing, the length, all those just basic characteristics of a web show.
Yeah. And
so it just kind of, people said, well, if you have a web show, you've got to have a blog. I'm going, oh, good grief. A blog? Nobody is going to want to know what I have to say.
Yeah.
But you know how it is with a website. You cross pollinate your
big time
your information from video to printed word.
Yeah. To
the printed word, and you got to do all of that. That's what I found. You have to do it all.
Yeah. Yeah. When here in your bio it says 96 episodes. You have more than that now?
No.
No. Well, I'll tell you what. 96 is epic.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it is. I mean, there are a lot of people. When I started, there were no web festivals like film festivals, but
right.
For the web, there were none in 2012. In 2013, there were like 3 in the world, and now there are thousands. Every city has a web festival. And I go to web festivals, and these content creators have between 3 and 10 episodes, and I am there with 96.
Wow.
I'm like, it's an astounding number.
Yeah.
But if you look at other really popular YouTuber urban gardeners, they have lots and lots and lots of videos, maybe a lot more than that, but in terms of the production quality, 96 is a big number for me. Yeah. But I also started my vlog in March of this year. I started on a mobile app. I didn't think I could ever have the brain power to edit anything myself, which is why I always hired editors and professional editors. But when I was traveling, I started working on a mobile app. I shot and edited and uploaded my vlogs straight to the YouTube. And I thought, this is very liberating. Now I really can do this. So I've been really seriously vlogging the whole year, trying to build more audience for my channel.
Yeah.
And I have 53 vlogs now, one of which is the one with Greg Peterson.
Yeah, we did one together. It was so much fun having you at the house, and that'll be listed on the show notes page. We'll have a link to that. But what was one thing that you learned in, hanging out in the yard here for the afternoon?
Well, it's interesting. you've got a really great thing going there, because I had heard about you before I met you,
Mm-hmm.
and from my friend Jack Davis, who's a member of the Arizona Fruit Tree Growers group.
Uh-huh.
And I'd also met Jay Behringer and Jake Mays, and all these people are so connected in Phoenix. It's mind blowing. But I think I first heard about the flood irrigation at your place.
Oh yes. Uh-huh.
Which you're very fortunate to have. Everybody in Phoenix doesn't have that.
Right.
And also, well, you've just woven together such a complex information highway, really.
Yeah.
For anybody interested in getting into growing their own food or growing their own fruit trees, or just getting connected. That's the big thing, is you've made such an impact on people getting connected to the soil and to taking care of the earth, and doing for yourself and growing your own stuff.
Yeah, that's that's the biggest part. And
plus you have a great personality, so that was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. I think the most important journey for me, and I'd say for a lot of people, is once we know it, we have to share it. And I know,
exactly.
I can see by what you're doing, you're sharing it. So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, the way I share is through my show. I probably am not ever going to do tours. I consider myself, like you said, you've been doing this for 40 or 41 years, and I have been gardening total for 5. So I still don't consider myself any kind of an expert.
Mm-hmm.
So I have done some speaking at the local, the Rotary Club and the gardening clubs and things like that. But I don't ever expect to be doing what you're doing with that kind of outreach. But mine is on the web. I put so much focus into making the videos,
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just the tours and all that. Plus, like I told you, I have such a small space for growing edibles.
Right.
And it's a lack of sun. That's my biggest problem.
Yeah. So who have been your biggest cheerleaders along the way?
Oh, wow. Well, Jack Davis has to be first come to mind. Mm-hmm. And she's been so supportive, and she's introduced me to a number of people in the Phoenix area, which were all enthusiastic to meet me, it seemed. And so I would say Jack Davis, and of course the biodynamic farmer that started it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly. Now you don't live in Phoenix. You live in...
I live in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And, I would say just people that have really influenced me is like Vandana Shiva, the Indian activist, eco warrior, neuroscientist, I believe she is. I heard her speak 2 different times up at the what is it called? The Heirloom Expo up in Santa Rosa. I first heard her, and then I heard her also in Los Angeles. And she is unstoppable. She fights for seed, for the future of seed. And she's so inspiring when you get to hear her speak.
Yeah.
And then Ron Finley, I've met Ron Finley a few times. He's our Los Angeles garden dignitary now.
Yeah.
And he's all over. He's traveling all over. He's in documentaries, and he's doing a lot of exciting things.
Yeah.
So people like that.
Yeah. What changes have you seen in your life since you started this process?
I would say the biggest change is feeling the impact of inspiring people. And I think everybody sort of lives to inspire other people. I think it's a basic human kind of desire. But when you actually do it, and you get that feedback that you actually have inspired somebody, and you've reached somebody that you didn't know you reached, or like recently, I was contacted by some teenage boys, and one is in India, southern India, one is in the UK, one is in Canada, and one is in California. And they love my show, and they're the first to see my videos and comment, and they all want to visit me someday. And I am so excited that 14 and 15-year-old boys
Yeah.
are growing their own food and having a garden and getting excited about seed. That's so exciting to me. And that's the biggest way that all of this has impacted my life, is seeing that I've inspired people.
Yeah.
Which is what I set out to do, but you never know if you're going to do that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what is the biggest challenge you've had along the way?
My number one biggest challenge in my place is not enough sun. And so I have to keep thinking of creative ways. Where's the sun? How am I going to get sun on this thing? People send me plants and they send me seeds, and I say, well, how much sun does it need? And they go 6-8 hours. I'm going, well, that's a problem, because I'm in a microclimate near the ocean. And so I would say from the middle of April till the beginning of August, we have June gloom every morning. Almost every morning we have no sun. So the sun is behind my house by 1-2 o'clock anyway.
Right.
And so it's a real problem because powdery mildew absolutely loves those conditions.
Oh, right.
And so I've gotten powdery mildew on everything from calendula and California poppies to tomatoes, just everything you can think of, roses.
Right.
So that's my biggest problem. But I would say my biggest disappointment that I have no way to control or fix is this is a great climate here for olive trees. And I envisioned olive trees grow like crazy here. And I envisioned having, being able to preserve my own olives. And so I have about 5 trees, 2 are in pots and 3 in the ground. And the first couple of years, they don't produce that much. So you don't get really an idea of if they're going to produce. But one of the trees last year was very heavy laden, and every single olive had the olive fruit fly maggot in it.
Aww.
And so I talked to the Department of Agriculture down at the LA County Extension, and he said, there is nothing we can do. This is a problem. You can't tent the trees. You can't prevent it. What happens is, as it develops inside the olive, it comes out of the olive and it falls on the ground and it hibernates for the winter. And then, of course, it hatches and becomes an olive fruit fly. And then you have 1,000 of these on the ground, and they just go right back up the tree, and they lay an egg in every single olive. Maybe we don't need to talk about that. It's kind of depressing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, and these are the kinds of things that we are challenged with.
Yeah.
As you were sharing that, I'm trying to think to myself, gosh, what could she do about that?
I know.
So a big piece of it is making sure that you have really good, healthy soil around the base of the tree.
Since, let's see, I think I finally got my wood chips in March or April.
Good.
And I had been wanting wood chips forever. And we talked about that in our video, that you said you didn't mind what the wood chips were. And I had been avoiding some of the crappier kind of landscaping trees that they have around our neighborhood or around LA.
Right.
And then I finally got my neighbor's elm tree was about to fall over, so they had to cut it down. And so I got this amazing wood chips, filled up my entire driveway. It was a half of a truck.
Oh, nice.
It was a half of a truck.
Yeah.
And in fact, I've still got wood chips I haven't taken care of. So I have been adding that since March or so, and my soil is absolutely amazing where I've had the wood chips.
Yeah. So you might see a difference there. There also might be, you might also check, there might be a nematode that would, positively impact, your.
Those?
Yeah. They might go after the grubs and take them out for you. So you might check on that.
Well, speaking of nematodes, I also have a grub problem. It's the fig tree beetle
Mm-hmm.
or the fig beetle, and the big green ones with the metallic underside.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so they discovered my garden, and because of the wood chips, and they're everywhere. So somebody suggested I try to use nematodes for those.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So in your bio, you talk about food security, and I'd like for you to speak to that a little bit, what that means to you and what can we do about food security? What is it and what can we do about it?
Well, food security is being able to have heirloom seed whenever we want it and for the rest of our lives, and be able to hand that down. And seed that's been genetically modified doesn't have another life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's strictly designed to make money for corporation. So I feel like the more people that just are aware, because it's an awareness, people that do not grow their own food or never thought about that, they go to the store and they see a certain item and they go, oh, this is fine to eat. But in fact, that might be a genetically modified food. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like the more that we can do to inspire and get people excited about growing their own food, the more they're going to know about heirloom seed and the future of seed and the future of food.
Yeah.
Because we don't know, our climate is crazy, and we don't know what's going to happen. And the more you know about growing your own food, the more secure you can feel. That's just the way I feel.
Yeah, exactly. So who has been the most inspirational or informative interviews that you've done in your vlog over the past year or so?
Well, Mike the gardener, and his website is called averagepersongardening.com.
Ooh, nice.
I think. And he does a podcast like similar to this. Mm-hmm. And he's been awesome because, as soon as we did that like a year ago, he just continually shares my content, and he has a big audience, so that's been really exciting. Mm-hmm.
So I want you to go in the Wayback Machine, think back to your childhood, and share with me about one of your early childhood food memories.
Well, I can't really pick sides, but it would be both of my grandmothers, because they both had gardens, and they both were great cooks. And fortunately, we lived close by, so I got to see one grandmother every Sunday.
Nice.
And we would also get to stay with her for a week every summer, or 2 weeks when we were children, with our cousins. And I just remember my grandmother. I only remember her in the kitchen, really, with an apron on. Mm-hmm. And she made this I think it's called nut roll pie or something like that I've never seen since. And it would absolutely melt in your mouth. And she had chickens, and they had a smokehouse, and they had a vegetable garden and a barn. And it was just so awesome to have those experiences growing up, because you can just kind of let your imagination go wild, and you get to eat this great food. She would put this platter of sliced fresh tomatoes from the garden on the table, and they would just like disappear, and my aunt would pick up the platter and just drink the juice. I mean, it was just it was so great.
Yeah.
And then I have a memory with my other grandmother, and because she had I would say her personal garden was about a third of an acre.
Wow.
And
nice.
She grew everything and preserved everything. She made her own her own sauerkraut and juices and all the kinds of preserves you can imagine, dried peaches. And if we would cut open a watermelon, when we go to the store today, if we buy a watermelon, it's this big investment. We carry this thing home, and it's like, oh, we hope this tastes good, Right. And sometimes you cut it open and it's not sweet, it's mealy, it's too old, whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you've got this big garden out there, if we would cut a watermelon open that wasn't absolutely perfect, she'd say, just go cut another one.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Go cut another one. There's plenty out there. Those are really my best memories growing up, is the great food. And of course, we would bring all that frozen food back to our house, and we would eat that, all week.
Right. Beautiful. So I'd like for you to talk about a time you failed, how you overcame that failure, and what you might have learned from it.
I think there have been a number of failures. I planted a fig tree. I thought, ooh, wow, fig tree, let's do that. And that tree died. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know why then, but I know why now. I just watered it too much. Mm-hmm. And, it's just when you're starting out, you just have no experience, and the experience is your teacher.
Right.
And I don't even think I realized at the time, maybe the leaves were dropping off because it was time for them to drop off in the fall. And I thought the tree was dead. It's been things like that. I've had a number of things die. And my issues with powdery mildew, I wouldn't say that I've overcome them, but I've found ways to deal with it better, planting less, having more airspace around the plants, and pruning more, and just being absolutely vigilant.
Yeah.
And very, very observant. Those have been vigilance and observance, really.
Yeah, beautiful. So what do you consider your biggest success?
My biggest success in the garden was that 2014 tomato harvest.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I really went all out for that. But I think my biggest success is that I have had an edible food garden in my front yard for going on 4.5, 5 years. And I've never had a single complaint. No one steals my food. Mm. People seem to respect the garden with their dogs walking by. And I've managed to kind of just live in my neighborhood doing something nobody else is doing here.
Yeah.
And I'm still going. And I'm still getting positive feedback from people online and from people walking by my garden. Even when I think my garden looks pretty ragged,
right?
In between seasons, they'll walk by and go, everything's looking good. I'm going, okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
I would love for it to be just for 1 month out of the whole year, just be beautiful. Mm-hmm. But, something is always coming as something else is always going.
Yeah. So, Kaye, what drives you?
I think you see somebody else growing some plant and you think, wouldn't that be cool to try to grow here? Mm. And I think that's what drives me. I'm so interested in plants. And of course, it's such a challenge growing here because of my lack of sun. So
right.
I think the challenge drives me, and also the excitement of seeing seeds sprout and develop. Mm-hmm. And I like the challenge of seeing if I can get a plant all the way through its lifespan without getting decimated by some bug.
Yeah.
It's a great challenge, first of all. And I think it's almost miraculous. And so every day you kind of witness these small miracles in the garden.
Yeah.
I have a swallowtail cocoon in my kitchen right now.
Oh,
nice. It's very late, it's going to be too cold for butterflies to be flying around. And so I noticed in November that I had 5 caterpillars on my it's taken me 2 years to grow this tiny little tangerine tree. Mm-hmm. And there were 5 5th instar swallowtail caterpillars on that, just eating it. There's like nothing left, right? And
wow.
And they all went off. 4 of them went off one by one to metamorphose someplace. And I put a photo on Instagram and I said, should I take this one inside or just leave it? And a couple people said, take it inside and film it. And then a couple people said, oh, just leave it. But I let 4 go. And so I decided to bring this one inside because I've never seen one, a swallowtail metamorphose. I've done plenty of monarchs. I have a number of episodes about monarchs. I grow milkweed for monarchs in my garden all the time.
Yeah.
But this will be a first. So it's just those miraculous things that happen, I think, that keep me
Nice.
going.
Absolutely.
And people that are inspired by what you do,
Yeah.
that's what keeps me going on the YouTube.
Yeah. Beautiful. So I'm all about education. I have to know, is there a book that's been influential for you in this process in your life?
Well, I would say when I first started and I didn't know anything, I read the book called Golden Gate Gardening. That's by Pam Pierce. And it's the definitive guide to growing in Northern California. But she covers a lot of microclimates like mine in there. And so there's a lot of great advice in there. I found that after, I first got started, I would just be so tired at night I would fall asleep. And so most of the information that I've learned has been on the internet.
Yeah. Just go find a how-to video. There's so many of them out there.
There's so many, and I happened to connect with an urban gardener on YouTube called 1 Yard Revolution, and Patrick at 1 Yard Revolution has been so instrumental in giving me advice, watching my videos, encouraging me, and I've learned a lot from his. He has a completely different growing zone. He's in 5B and I'm in 11A.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's way different, but still, I've learned a lot. People that take the time to try to help you. That's so inspiring.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that level of community, it moves me. The level of community, and interestingly enough, a big place to find it is on Facebook. And in social media, and there's some amazing Facebook pages out there of people doing work that, and that's how we connect with people these days. So,
I know, it is amazing, and everybody's on social media to start with, so we might as well make that the location of where we connect.
Yeah, exactly. So, what one final piece of advice do you have for our listeners?
Don't give up. And if anybody's listening who has never had any success growing their own edible foods, I would say jump in and don't worry if you make a mistake, and don't, like I think you said, if you pay attention to a plant and you give it the care that it needs, it will thrive.
Yep.
And you just have to believe that.
Yeah.
And also another thing that my biodynamic farmer, we call him Farmer Jack, by the way, he said to me, there are no mistakes in the garden. And that's really important to keep in your mind.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show and sharing your experience with us today, Kaye. It has been a treat getting to chat with you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Absolutely. So how can our listeners get a hold of you?
Well, they can go to latebloomershow.com, which is my website, where, by the way, I have a free ebook for beginners called 10 Steps to a Great First Garden.
Good.
And it just covers some of the basics that you may not even think of, like finding where the sun is, because this is so important to your success. And also on YouTube, Late Bloomer Urban Organic Garden Show.
Perfect. You can also find the show notes from today's podcast at urbanfarm.org/latebloomer. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for joining us on the Urban Farm Podcast. Greg Peterson here, and I want to thank you for listening to the Urban Farm Podcast. We wouldn't be able to keep doing these great shows without you. So as a token of my appreciation, I'd like to offer you access to a list of our top 10 episodes I personally find most inspiring. If you enjoy the Urban Farm Podcast but don't have time to listen to every one, then you will love this list. Although all our guests have great information to offer, if you are short on time, these 10 are must-listens. To get access to the top 10 most inspiring podcast episodes, text FARMER to 44222. That's FARMER to 44222. And enjoy listening.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Urban Farm Podcast. Remember to listen 3 days a week for tips, advice, and resources to help you on your journey with urban farming. You can find us on the web at urbanfarm.org or send us an email to podcast@urbanfarm.org. In the words of Vincent van Gogh, great things are done by a series of small things brought together. Be encouraged that with each lesson learned and skill developed, you are one step closer in the direction of your dreams.